Good morning. So glad you guys are here and watching online. I'm going to give a quick shout out. We have Faith in Uganda. I don't think there's anybody farther than Uganda, Africa, watching today. Uganda's in Africa, right? Thank you, Katie. Yeah, I knew that. And then a couple other people, Seth, different people watching every week. Thank you guys. Talk to you. So this morning, before Scott clicks this, okay, I have a list, and my goal was to equally offend all of you, okay? So hopefully, normally I say raise your hand. Don't raise your hand this week. I don't think you'll want to raise your hand on certain things. Maybe you do. If you're proud of your dysfunction, go ahead. But I was just I thought of a riddle. I normally ask a question. You guys know every week, hey, how many of you, blah, blah, blah. None of you care. We're not doing that. So what I want to do is just give a riddle and see if you know the answer to this riddle, okay? Here it is. It is, what do you call a group of sometimes lying, cheating, greedy, lustful, porn watching, tax dodging, racist, arrogant, jealous, judgmental, lonely, angry people who sometimes eat too much, spend too much, drink too much, think about themselves too much, medicate too much, worry too much, smoke too much, who also sometimes gather together because they believe Jesus is the only good news for the world and they need more good news. Anyone know? Someone in the first one yelled C3. And then someone else yelled Carpenter Family Reunion. And I said, no, that last part wouldn't be right at the bottom for the Carpenters. But yeah, right? This is called the church, right? This is literally, that's the church, right? We all of us, and I know some of you read some of those, you're like, well, I might do that, but I at least don't. Well, that's horrific. I agree, right? But it's just a collective group of people. We say, and the reason I say that, this is our core value. We're in week 6, final week of this series, Campfire. And each week what we've done is we said one of our 6 core values, and we have a parable for each one of those. This is basically a parable, it's just a story Jesus taught. But this one is my favorite one, and it started actually when we met like literally 20 years ago at the hotel right across the street here. We talked about this the very first week. And the kind of the core value for me, it's very important, means a lot, is we accept you wherever you are, but care too much to let you stay there. We accept you wherever you are, wherever. I should probably put wherever in all caps and underlined, wherever you are. And the reason we do that is because we truly believe that's how Jesus operated. So just give you a recap real quick. We said this every week. Our purpose is to help you find your purpose. And the verse we've used is John 10:10. And I love it because it's where Jesus basically talks about there's the enemy and he has a purpose. And Jesus says, I have a purpose as well. And here's what John 10:10 says. It says, the thief's purpose, okay, the thief is to steal, kill, destroy. My purpose, Jesus speaking, is to give them a rich and satisfying life. Now, if you read through the teachings of Jesus, you'll find he used a word called blessed. And I don't think that's a great interpretation of, or a good, basically, translation of the Greek word, because a lot of people would refer that to happy. So this morning, before we get started, I started the first week of this. I'm going to end with it. Are you happy? Watching online. You don't have to raise your hand. I just want to ask you, are you right now happy? Are you happy? And if you are, I hope you are. A lot of you be like, yeah, this is a great place in my life. Great. Why? Why are you happy? And then I would say this. To some of you, I would say, are you happy? And you'd say, no, absolutely not. Not at all. Some of you would be like, I don't even know what that is. It's been so far removed from me. And I'd ask you the same question. Why? Because you see, I grew up, started going to this little country church beside my house. Some of you know the story, but anyways, when I'm about 12, 13 years old, go to this little missionary Baptist church, walk in, a bunch of old people, 80 plus and me, right? And I go and I get into it, and I start going Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. I was like very faithful. So you imagine if you're a bunch of old people and this young kid comes in from a horrible family, all knuckleheads, like they love me, and they took me in. They're great people. But here's something they would say a lot. I would listen to these preachers get up and they would hack. Anyone know what hack is? Like hacking? That's what my wife calls it, at least. But so they get into it and they're like, I can't even do it. I wish if I could hack, I promise you guys, I'd do it every week. I love it. I think it sounds so awesome. I'm like, dude, he's getting it. And I'm like, I try. I just sound like I'm like dying of, like can't breathe or something. Too chubby. So, but I remember one time this guy got up there and he was getting it hard. He was doing the hacking. But he said this. He said, God wants you holy, not happy. And I was like, ooh, wow. But I remember looking around, everybody's like, amen, that's right, that's right. And I would argue this morning, I think to him it was like you have a choice in life. You can either be really holy or you can be happy, but you're not going to be both. I would argue that Jesus, I think, through his teaching says, you know what? No, my Father wants you happy. He really does. And some of you are like, it's not. But think about this for a second. He does because he loves you. And he said, our Father's a perfect Father. We're even just mediocre fathers. I want my kids happy because I love them that much. But Jesus then spins it and says, but maybe what you think is going to make you happy never will. So Jesus does want us happy. And maybe happiness and holiness are a lot closer combined than we actually realize. I was thinking about, for me, am I happy? This past week, we did the Thanksgiving baskets yesterday. Amazing. Sound like 180. Just a disclaimer, those of you guys that brought them in, thank you so much. We have bags setting out there, like 20 plus. We have hams in this fridge. Come see me after. If you know somebody, we had several 930 people take them. If you know somebody, maybe you need it. If you need it, you're like, I'm too embarrassed, I'd never asked for it. Then lie to me. Walk up and say, I got a neighbor. I won't ask any questions. Grab whatever you need. But we want to give that. If you guys know on your way home, like, hey, you know my neighbor's struggling, grab a bag. I'll hand you a ham. Love to do that. But anyways, Phil's is setting it up this week on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. And I'm in here in the sound booth working. Doors open, and he is blaring Christmas music. I mean, he's blaring it. I mean, so loud. And I got a little bit upset, and you guys will judge me. I don't like Christmas music. There, I said it. I'm a spawn of Satan. Like you, it's like, how can you? I don't. I really don't. I don't like it. I don't think it sounds good. So I'm getting annoyed up there, and I'm like, I'm going to walk over there and say, turn it off. One, because, dude, it's not even Thanksgiving yet. Can we at least just have Thanksgiving? My wife and I were walking. We walk in our neighborhood because we're healthy. We walk. And we were walking one night, and literally people had Christmas stuff out before Halloween. I'm seeing Santa before I see all the witches and ghouls. Like, no. Like, can't we just have our holidays in order? But he's blaring it. I was getting ready to walk out there and say, turn it off. And then I thought, I won't, because I recall last year about this exact time, he's blaring Christmas music in the sound booth. I hate it. It all sounds terrible. He's into it. He's feeling it. And I said, can you turn that off? And he turned and looked at me so crushed. I mean, it was like who broke you? Right? Why are you so unhappy? Why do you hate America and chocolate and all things good? So maybe I would not say I'm happy today because I don't like Christmas music. But anyways, he's blaring. And I would say this to you guys, okay, as we kind of get into this. I want you to think about, are you truly happy? Truly. And I think some of you are, and that's great. Maybe you aren't. And let's go back to this. Why? Because if we're honest, I think most of us in our life, we're trying to get on the right road, right? Trying to get on the right road. We're trying to get to that place, and we spend so much of our life, I'm here, and I need to get to there. If you guys are in high school, you know this. All you high school, middle school, it's like, man, as soon as I get to there. What's there? High school, right? Then it'll be better. It'll be different. High school, man, I can't wait to get out of high school. Can't wait to get my license. That's there. I can't wait to get out of high school. Once I get to college or get a job, man, it's going to be amazing. Once we get a job, we're like, man, I can't wait till I get to there. Well, what's there? Can't wait till I get married. There, I'm going to have kids. All those are great things. But what we do is we constantly, can't wait till I make a ton of money. If I could just make $100,000 a year, I get there. And what happens for a lot of us is we actually get there. Some of us were lucky enough to get there, and you're like, there isn't what I thought it was, so now I need to I need to find a new there. We're all traveling this road trying to find that there. Well, it's no different than the story that Jesus taught. So I'm going to give you just a couple quick thoughts. What if you don't need a better road or even a better route? But actually, I would argue you need someone who can actually find you on it. Now, I'm going to read the story of the Good Samaritan. If you're a church person, you've heard this a million times, and here's what you've heard. I'm going to flip it today. You've heard this. Okay, there's religious people that are not doing what they should do, and there's a Samaritan that nobody liked, and he did what we should do. So the message is simple. Everybody go be a good Samaritan. Go do good. Okay, I get it. But I'm going to argue, what if we looked at this completely different this morning? What if the Good Samaritan isn't any of us? Matter of fact, I would argue, what if the Good Samaritan is Jesus and we're all this guy or girl on the side of the road? Look what it says in verse 30. It says, then Jesus replied with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho as he was trying to get there, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes and beat him up. This man wasn't attacked because he was evil. He was simply attacked because he chose the wrong road, thinking it would take him somewhere better. It says, and left him half dead beside the road. Now, if you think biblically, if you're not a church person, it's fine, but if you are, there's the phrase they talk about where it's like, basically, I'm alive physically, but I can be spiritually dead. So what is it? I'm fully alive here, but spiritually inside, I'm dead. The Bible talks about that. So we see this guy is half, he's alive, but he's not. We're the same ones. We're stripped, robbed, bleeding, half dead, clutching to the next road. This is our playlist. The next road. This is a song we love to sing. The next road will get me where I need to go. I just need to go somewhere else. I need to get there. That's the playlist in your mind. Can I just take a side note? This has nothing to do with anything. You know why I think some of you are unhappy in here, honestly, watching online? Because you listen to Adele. And I'm not bashing Adele. I think she's one of the greatest singers modern day. I mean, that lady, you could not even play a piano. Just start singing Adele, and you're like, hello. Like, so good. I'm driving with my daughter a few weeks ago, and get in her car. I'm like, I'm driving because you've had 38 wrecks. I'm not risking my life. I'm going to drive. Well, she was in control of the aux, as the kids used to say. So she's controlling the music, and she plays an Adele song. And she looks at me, and I'm like, she's good, isn't she? And we listen to the song, and then next thing you know, she plays the second Adele song. I get to the third Adele song, I looked at her and said, turn that off, or I'm driving us off a cliff. She was like, we're not near a cliff. I will drive to a cliff, right? It was just like, I'm crying? No, I'm just like crazy. Anyways, that had nothing to do with anything. Verse 31. By chance, a priest came along. But when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed by him. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by on the other side. So we're traveling the road. We get beat up. Life gets tough. We get lost on our way. And then you have what I would call religion and rules. Think about this. It says literally a priest and then a Levite. These would represent the law, the perfect standard of God. God has the 10 commandments. They're perfect. We get it. And he has another 600 plus. Perfect. This is the standard. What if Jesus is trying to tell us, on this journey, the law, religion will never save you? Matter of fact, maybe we could argue religion and the law can't even help you when you're beaten and dying. It just does nothing for you. So here's the guy, and you get religion and the law and all of God's perfect standard, and what do? They just look at you, say, sorry about your bad luck. You probably made a bad choice being here anyways. That's what religion does. That's on you. That's your fault. That's your decision, right? That's exactly how this plays out. Religion walks around your mess. Jesus walks towards it. But we try to fix our stuff, don't we? We do, and I agree. My wife will verify this. She's in the back. She'll verify every bit of this is true. People make fun of me that know me well. I want to be healthy, okay? So to be healthy, I should just take common sense and say, Cassie always says this to me. Cassie McClellan, she's like, how about this? Don't eat as much. Work out. Watch your calories. I'm like, I am not doing that, right? I went on a hot dog diet once. Hot dog diet. Literally, you go the first 7 days, you eat hot dogs all day, just hot dog wieners. I was just in wiener world, like for 7 days, just killing it. Then the next 7 days, you eat like bananas. I know it's all themed, I guess. And then the next week after that, you eat like, I don't remember, peanut butter. I don't remember what it was. I was so happy. I was like strict, like just hot dogs, bananas, peanut, whatever the third one was. I remember I got on scales. I gained 9 pounds. I gained 9. I'm not making that up. Turns out you can't eat 170 bananas every day. Just going nuts. Right? But think about it. We're into this. We're like, no, I'm going to count calories. No, you got to be better than that. You got to count macros. You got to do your macros. But I don't think we ever stop to really think, like, past all this and here. What's going on? What if we counted our complaints? What if we counted? I was driving with my wife just this past week, and I'm not trying to flex you guys. Okay, I love to read. Call me a nerd. I love to read. I love to read studies. I'll be like, hey, Jonathan, this is what it's like being married to me. I was reading a book today, and there's a Stanford study, and she's just like, whatever. But I'm not flexing you guys. Yeah, I am flexing a little bit. That sounds smart, doesn't it? I read books, okay? My wife comes to me with things she learned. Guess what she says? So I'm to her like, hey, I was reading this book. There's this new Stanford study. She's like, oh, whatever. But she comes to me, and she's like, I saw on Facebook, right? That's her source of all things. But she told me this, and it was good. She said, she was trying to find it, but basically the person said, what's going on in your head? Like, if you listen to the voice in your head, would you say it's your biggest cheerleader or it's your worst enemy? And I was speaking at the 9:30, literally thinking about people in that crowd that I've met with in this building, that when I listen to them even talk about themselves, it's horrible. It's horrible. They're their own worst enemy, right? Here's this guy who's beat up, and I'm sure in that moment it was easy to be like, I caused this, I shouldn't have went down that road. And then religion comes by, and they're like, yeah, you shouldn't have. Your fault. We're not helping, right? This is a tough spot to be in. So what's the good news? Here's the thought. Jesus doesn't just rescue you. He brings you somewhere you can actually heal. Now, for you men, I get it, like, oh, heal, we don't care about that. What's heal mean, though? Healing, not churchy. I think healing is simply when the inside of you stops bleeding faster than the outside of you can pretend. When you actually get wholeness to you. There's an old Hebrew, shalom, right? What it means to be whole, to be full. That's God's design from the very beginning. So it says this, it says verse 33, then a despised Samaritan. Wait a second, Jesus, you said Jesus was a Samaritan. He's not despised. Remember what it said? It says he came to his own, and his own rejected him. His own despised him, right? It says along when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Now, I'm going to level with you guys this morning. I want you to really think about this. If you went home today and found out your wife has had a horrible drinking problem and she's been hiding it from you for years, and it's just like, oh, I can't believe it, and new stuff's coming out of the closet. If you get home and find out your husband's been texting multiple people and you're just devastated. What if you get home and you find out your teenage daughter is pregnant, right? What if you working at your job and you started your business, you're excited, but now you're literally falling apart and you're getting ready to file bankruptcy and it's going to be public and everybody's going to know you failed? If these things really happen, is the church the first place? Is God's people the first place you go to and say, I'm struggling? No. Let's just be honest. Traditionally, it's the last place you would go. I remember talking to a friend of mine. I was like, hey, you should come. And he was like, why? So I can feel worse about myself? Like, that was his thought. Like, why would I go to a church and just be like, I feel guilty enough, dude. I don't need help. Right? That's what we would do. But what if we would get this parable and realize Jesus said, no. You should be the first place they run to. Hey, you know what? I'm struggling financially. You know, I know it's hard to say this, but I'm struggling. We're in a tough bind. Well, I can never tell people that, right? I can never tell people that have issues right now going on. I'm sure. No, you can't do that. A lady, I'll tell this past week I got a text, and great, she's amazing. Her husband's great. Her kids are amazing. And I've been reaching out to her because I know she's not doing well. And my wife and several people we know have been sending texts and just letting her know, hey, praying for you. Know things have been kind of tough. And she hasn't been responding. She hasn't responded to me, which is kind of alarming. And kind of out of nowhere, she sent me a text just this week, first of the week. And she was like, hey, sorry about all that. But it was a novel, guys. And I'll just paraphrase it real quick. She said this. She was like, I'm in such a dark place right now. Here's the bullet points. She was like, literally, I don't know if I believe any of this stuff. She's like, I'm struggling. She said, I have people text me and say they're praying for me. It makes me more angry because I'm just wondering if all this is crap. It's made up. And she went through her whole spiel. So it was very like truly just being honest. But here's what happened. In the middle of that, she wrote she put, and I hope you're not upset with me. And another time in the text, she put, I hope you're not disappointed in me. And I'm just be honest with you guys, I let my wife read it. So if you ever text me something, she's going to read it, okay? You need to text me and then put delete this before your wife gets your phone. Like, she reads, and not because, trust, she's nosy about everything, right? So anyways, shouldn't have said, sorry, babe, I didn't mean that. No. Okay, fair enough. But you do read my messages, don't you? Yeah, okay. But anyways, she looked at that and she was like, did you notice, she kept saying, disappointed, upset? Why? Because it's honest. That's how it works. We all feel like if I would actually tell you how I really feel about something, you would be appalled. But what's Jesus do? He's like, no. That's what we do. We lean in to the vulnerable. You guys know maybe the most Jesus thing you can do is say, I want to help the vulnerable. I want to help the people who sometimes can't help themselves. That's literally probably the most Jesus thing you could do in your life. So I was thinking about, for us, kind of how I view all this. And I want to show you on the screen. This is just kind of my statement I was thinking about this week, and I wrote it down. So it's not that good, but either way. I was thinking about us as a church. We will not be castles of comfort for the moral, the spiritual, the religious, but rather basements of grace for all the moral misfits, the spiritual screw-ups, and the religious rejects. And here's what I want you to hear. Where sin, because I think this is the beauty of this story, where sin does not shock and grace still amazes. So what I sent her back was basically, not that, that's very wordy, and I was trying to be professional, but I basically was just saying, like, none of this is shocking. None of this, no, you can lean into feeling like that. It's okay. Why? Because love is loudest when we're at our lowest. Can I talk to you parents real quick? Okay, if you're like us, our kids are out, that ship sailed, okay? We're probably not getting them back. But some of you who still have kids at home, can I give you just some real quick, this is great relationship advice, but it's just good parenting advice. You know one of the greatest things you can do for a child? Some of you in here are like, oh, I'll tell you what, man. I was talking to Emmett the other day, and we were talking about how we were raised, me and another guy. We loved it because he was just like, I tell you, my kid, like he's saying how he's going to do it, right? You're going to make them tough, which I love. I'm a fan of that, 100%. Some of you are like, oh, no, not my babies. No, I'm going to do cuddles with them, and I'm going to whisper. Fine. Raise your kids however you want. Some of you in here, let's be honest, you're boring people. You're going to have boring kids. You guys will sit at your Thanksgiving and be like, Mother, could you hand me a fork? Why, yes, son. Right? You're just boring. Or you can be like in the Carpenter home and like in our home and even my wife's home. It's like we're Italian somehow. Like you're always just yelling stuff, and whoever's telling a story, you just yell louder and start telling yours. It's crazy. It's psycho. Raise them however you want. But can I give you something that really matters? A kid, one of the greatest things that can happen for any of us is to know I'm fully known and still fully loved. So as a parent, I'm telling you, if you just get that right, you can say, I'm going to be hard, we're going to be disciplined, do whatever you want. But let them know everything you know about them, no matter what, they're still fully, because they will equate you. Some people have a problem with God because it's like they're supposed to care about me. They didn't. No, I'm fully known. You know the healthiest thing in a relationship, a marriage, is like my wife knows even in all my jacked up stuff, it's like, no, you're fully known and yet still fully loved. That's the greatest thing I think you can do. Anyways, verse 34. Sorry, we've got to focus. Last thing. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey, and took him to an inn where he took care of him. So you catch that? This man's on the side of the road, he's speeding. And the Good Samaritan actually takes him and puts him on the donkey he was riding, and now he's walking. He traded places with him. You know, there's a neat verse that says, he who knew no sin became sin, talking about Jesus, so I could be treated like I have no sin. What's he mean? He literally traded places with me and you. That's what he does here. Now he's walking with another guy on his donkey who maybe didn't deserve it. So last thought, and we'll finish this up, last two verses. As you're healing, happiness grows by helping carry someone else to the same place. What if I could argue today, if we all could kind of realize, like, maybe happiness isn't going to come from my own selfishness. Maybe happiness isn't going to come from me always just thinking about me. What if we could kind of reorient the path we're on the road and say, but what if as I'm healing and kind of getting this, I also help bring others along that way? What if that's actually the true way to happiness? Because I'll be honest with you guys, if selfishness made you happy, I would be the hugest fan of it. Like I've tried it. I try it still. I fall back into it. But if you really push me, are you happy because you're making everything about you? In an argument, like you lose your mind, you make it all about you, do you leave? And you're like, I feel good. No, you don't. But we all know there's a selfless side that does, right? Here's what's neat. Let's look at verse 35. It says, the next day, hand the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time here. So wait a minute. So the Good Samaritan pays all the debt, and he says, I'll be back at some point. Until then, you take care of him. You see, the inn was a new concept in this time period. And what they did is they took these really very vulnerable locations where people had to walk miles and miles, and they found out they were getting beaten, killed, raped. So literally about 2,000 years ago, they came up with this concept of inns where they built these little structures, and someone was there so I didn't have to go through the night alone. Is it possible Jesus is pointing to listen, no, here, after I die, there's going to be these places, these people, these groups. And your job is to look for the people who are hurting, the people who are walking through the night by themselves. You know, if you study anything about the tri-state over the last 10, 15 years, the tri-state where we live is ranked one of the worst places to live in the whole country. It's us and like somewhere in North Dakota fight back and forth for number one. Hey, we're at least good at something, right? But it is literally mental health. They measure obesity. They measure jobs, job happiness. They measure annual income, median income, all stuff. Like, we're at the worst. Now, let me ask you guys something. Do you think that'd be a good place for an inn? Do you think that would be a good place where people who are tired and hurt and beat up can come in and for once here in a conditional world where we all know out there everything's conditional, for just maybe an hour we can hear unconditional? For just maybe an hour we can hear that it's not what we have to do and be, we just get. See, that's the good news. And what happens is we're supposed to be those people that say, Jesus, you bring them to us. You bring them to us. That's what we do. So a few months back, if you weren't here, some of you are new, I shared, you know, we talk about following Jesus and people talk about God's will. That's big for the church culture. God's will. Oh my gosh, I'm supposed to decide between med school. Should I go to Marshall or should I go to Duke? Go to Duke. It sounds bigger, right? No offense. I love Marshall, right? No, like, oh my gosh, should I eat a cheeseburger or a chicken sandwich? What does God want? Probably a salad. Just be healthy. Like, we get into this mindset of like, all this stuff. I don't think it's complicated. I think it's literally, according to Ephesians, God, I told you guys, it's kind of insulting. It's a t-ball game. I literally think God just says, here you go. Katie, here you go. And she swings and misses 3 times. Like, that's okay. Some of us hit the ball. Some of us hit the tee. Some of us hit the ball and run the third, right? I think it's really that simple. But here, if this picture would be true, then Jesus is like, throughout your life, I'm going to be bringing hurting people to you. What if we as a church were the church where when Jesus brings hurting people that need healing, we say, yes, we will take care of them until you come back. What if that's actually the perfect picture of the church? And what if Jesus is kind of like leaning into this? Even better than T-ball, he's like, I'm going to keep bringing people. If you open your eyes this week, I promise you, Jesus will bring people into your life who need a kind word, who are really struggling and need someone just to give a little encouragement to. It might get dumped in your lap and someone's like, their life's falling apart. And in that moment, you'll be like, I'm the innkeeper. Happiness isn't found in the next place. What if it's found in helping someone else find theirs? What if happiness isn't in the next place or the next road, but it's actually in helping and realizing as Jesus brings people to me, I get to help them find their place. So, as I close, we had kids club this week, and where I've had football, I haven't been able to come for a while, so I came back, and at the very end, they did spelling words. And I had like the 2 oldest boys in the group, and I had a girl who's like maybe a grade younger. Anyways, doing spelling words. And I'm like, look, I know none of you want to do this. I get it. I don't want to do it either, but we'll go through these words really fast. They all had a little board they could write on. I said, get them all right. Let's knock this out. And then the boys, you can go shoot, play basketball. And then the girl, she can do whatever. And this girl really likes me, okay? I don't know why she does. She gravitates to me. And if I could tell you this girl's story, it's awful. I mean, her life, she's had so many things stacked against her, and she's literally in grade school. It would break your heart. So I always kind of like her. Anyways, doing the words, and I do the first word, and it's like disappointed, which to me is hard. I don't know, is it 2 P's, 1 T? Anyways, the boy's like, here, and it was like D-U-S. I'm like, you're not that dumb. And he's like, oh, whatever. The other boy, they just want to be done. But she's over there, and she does it real fast. So I'm like, she doesn't know how to spell this word. And she's like, here. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. And as soon as I said that's right, she said, are you proud? I was like, yeah, I'm actually impressed. You're smarter. It's official, guys. Girls are smarter than boys, right? She was just smarter. I was like, no, great job. I get the second word. Again, they're just like, she spells it right. But this time she said, are you proud of me? I was like, yes. I was so impressed. I'm not kidding. I think both those boys missed every word. So maybe they're not smart. I don't know, But she got every single one of those right, and it never felt each question. Are you proud? Are you proud? So I came home and thought about that. In full circle, I was thinking about the text I received from that lady, and I thought, as she kept saying words like disappoint and upset, and where maybe she thinks in my role, maybe I represent God in some way. And it hit me, and I sent her a message, just Friday. And I said, listen, I'm not going to keep going on. I don't want to bother you. Like, you don't want to probably text with me. I get it. But I said, do you know? Like, do you really know? God's not disappointed in you. God's not upset with you. Do you know that? I don't know if you do. I just don't want you going through this dark place not realizing that God is probably literally laying on the floor with you saying, I'm sad too. I'm hurting too because I love you that much. Now, as we get ready to leave, some of you are like, no, I can give you the verse on God. Remember in the Old Testament? I get it. I don't get all that. I'm not that smart. But did Jesus not say, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father? Let me ask you this. Is there ever a time that someone came to Jesus struggling? Was there ever a time someone came to Jesus hurting? Was there ever a time someone came to Jesus and said, I don't even know if I believe in all this? That he was like, get out. He leans in every time. He leans in every time. He asks more questions. He tries to figure it out. Jesus constantly leans in. Why? As we close, because I think for all of us, as we're laying all over the road in different places, he's the one who comes by and says, I'm here to rescue you. I'm here to heal you. I'm here to get you to a community where other people can help you heal. What if that's actually what this parable is really about? What if Jesus is saying this morning as we pray, I accept you wherever you are, but I care too much, I love you too much to let you stay in it because you're too valuable to me. What if that's the point of this story? So let's pray for a second. If you would, just close your eyes. Father, I pray for the people in this room. I pray for people watching online. I know there's a lot going on right now. I know there are so many Aaron Fields who cannot wait for the holidays, and my wife, and Christmas. God, I know there's also a lot of people in this room dreading it because it's just a reminder of being by ourselves or by a reminder of who's not here. So God, I pray today that wherever we're at, we would feel this good news and know you accept us wherever we are. Wherever we get beat and hurt on the road. But you love all of us too much to let us stay there. So God, as we kind of go through this, our own healing process, I pray today as we leave this week, we would open our eyes. We'd be aware of the hurting people you bring to us. Help us to be an innkeeper for the hurting, the broken, the forgotten. Jesus, I pray today that as we walk out these doors, we would look for the Good Samaritan who's bringing people our way. Help us to be the actual church today. God, I pray for a lot of hurts, a lot of hang-ups, a lot of things that need healing right now within this group. And I just pray that you would work your miracle, that you would do what only you can. And we trust you with that today. Jesus, today as we walk out these doors, help us not only be reminded that we are accepted wherever we are, but that's how we interact with others too, as you bring them our way. Because religion rules, nothing can save them. Only you, the Good Samaritan. We ask these things in your name, and amen. Guys, I'd love to see you Wednesday for communion at 6:30. Have a great week. Can we move chairs? Chairs to the left, all of them? Okay, all. If you don't care to help, we'd love to grab a row, move the chairs to the wall.
Despite the